I'm pleased to announce that a pre-feasibility study to assess the potential for the creation of a solar park in South Africa has been completed with financial and technical support from the Upington Climate Initiative. The results thus far indicated that the conditions in the Northern Cape are ideal for the establishment of a solar park, primarily due to the intense solar radiation in this province. The pre-feasibility study estimates that a 5,000 megawatt solar park constructed over a decade or 10 years, which could result in the creation of approximately 12,300 average annual direct construction jobs. It could also create approximately 3,010 operations and maintenance jobs by the time the final solar plant comes on stream.
We have been doing work around the world to try to promote large-scale solar energy in places like India and Morocco and Australia and California. I would say that the conditions we have seen here in South Africa are perhaps the best we've seen in the world. What's called the DNI, which is the solar index in the Northern Cape, is among the best we've seen anywhere. The availability of land, of water, the proximity to transmission lines make it ideal. And we believe, based on our analysis, that solar power, if it is deployed in large scale, as in a solar park, can actually become lower cost than fossil fuel fired power in South Africa. So that solar power will be cheaper as well as cleaner, as well as long-lasting in South Africa.
The philosophy behind this solar park concept is that this would compete with baseload coal.
The program has two parts to it because solar energy can be used in two ways. So if you have photovoltaic power, today there's no cost-effective way to store the electricity. Photovoltaic turns the sun directly into electricity. And so photovoltaic power has its greatest use for peak power. The solar thermal, when you have storage, and you can store the heat, which you can do economically, as the DDG said, can be used for baseload power. It can be dispatched. You can store it overnight and dispatch it as you need it. So the ideal mix of power that the country needs will depend upon how much peak power it needs, how much baseload power it needs. And the solar park distribution of power will likely relate to that. It will relate to what the country needs. By aggregating everything into the park so that you're providing the land, you're getting the permitting done, you're getting the infrastructure put in place, the regulatory framework, it makes it much easier for an investor than if they had to come and do each of those things themselves for each investor. So what we hope and believe is that, as the DDG said, that by early next year, these deals can actually begin to be made. And the purpose of the conference is to get the investors started on the work they need to do. So when they come at the end of October, and they see a government of South Africa that's committed, they see a Department of Energy that's moving forward, they see an authority that's created and so on, they see a piece of land that's there and real and so on. That, we believe, will give them the confidence to say, this is moving now, this is real, this is important. And when they see the good conditions and the supportive atmosphere, and we've had a number of very good meetings now with South African manufacturers in different cities around the country, where there's a tremendous interest from local manufacturers to participate, and that interest will be made known at the conference. We think then the companies will start their work, and the developers and the investors and the banks, so that in the first quarter and second quarter of next year, these agreements can actually be made, and then the park infrastructure can start to be prepared. And then, as the DDG said, depending upon the technology, for photovoltaic, once you start, you sign to start building, it can be as short as 6 months to a year that you actually get electricity. For solar thermal, it typically can be 2 to 3 years, depending upon the type of technology and the order cycles. So I think what the DG said is realistic in time frame, that you can have significant amounts of power begin to be generated within a couple of years from next year.